Pete'sTools.com.
G'day guys, Pete's Tools, awesome to see you here again today. I've had a few comments about plasma cutter drag tips, what are they and actually do you need one? But you guys actually realise that on these cheap plasma cutter torches that I'm using, you don't actually have to use a drag tip, or you don't have to use a tip spacer. I mean, on the more expensive torches you get the options, but on the cheaper ones that I use, there's no option, they're all basically the same. Anyway guys, same as usual, you like my video, subscribe, drop me a like, drop me a comment, and I'll go and explain what I mean guys. So guys, unlike the branded torches that you buy, your plasma torches that you buy, these generic torches here, like this is up to 100 amp this torch, but it doesn't have a place where you can put a drag tip, because the drag tip is just a tip. It makes no difference with it. It has no shield on it to shield the tip, if you understand what I'm saying. Here, I'll show you, I'll pull this to pieces and you have a look. What it is just a cutting nozzle like that, an electrode like that, and a swirl ring inside the torch here. If you can see in there guys, there's a inbuilt swirl ring in here. And it doesn't really matter what sort of generic Chinese torch you're having, these are all basically made up the same way, unless you're going to a copy of a branded torch, if you understand what I'm saying. This is not a copy of a branded torch, this is just a Chinese torch. And what they do is they basically run it right down just so it works basically, and there's no flash bits and pieces to put on it to try and get the consumables cheap and other things, bits and pieces. Like if you're using like a thermodynamic torch or something like that, you get all sorts of options with it. Like you'll get an option on the branded torches, you'll have a tip that you can use for plasma gouging and all sorts of other bits and pieces. Like I make my own tips for gouging and that using the cheap torches. I'll put a link up the top there if you want to have a look on how to do that. But what I'm saying is, there is no place to put a drag tip or a drag shield on these things. They are all built into the torch. Anyway, I'll show you another one. See guys, if you ever look at these two torches, they're exactly the same. This one here is a pilot arc version of it, this one here is an HF version of it. And the only difference is, in these torches, well basically this one's pilot arc of course, and this one's a touch torch, you know, you touch it to get it to go. But you can use this torch either way. You can't use this torch as a pilot arc torch because it doesn't have the facility on it, or you might not have the facility on your machine. But you can use this torch here as a drag tip torch. All you got to do is take the spacer off here, which once again is the spacer for your work that gives you the distance between the end of your tip and whatever you're cutting. All you do is take the spacer off like that. Take them off, Pete. And then you can just use it as a drag tip. It makes no difference to the life of your tips or anything, because there's no other option on these torches. You take this off like that. I'll show you. All we have here is the tip. We have an electrode, and then we have the swirl ring down in here, if you understand that. So there is absolutely no option for a drag shield or anything like that. The only option you have with these torches is the wire spacer here. So what I'm basically saying is, all these torches are drag tip torches. It happens to be equipped with pilot arc. You can use it for a pilot arc and also just drag tip cutting around patterns and all sorts of things. So it's not like when you're using the expensive torches where you have all sorts of other options, because we just don't on these. These are basically designed just to cut, and they either cut by either contacting the tip on the surface or whatever you're cutting, or if you happen to have your machine that's a pilot arc and you're running a pilot arc torch, you push the button, the flame comes out, and then you start cutting. But either way, you can use them either way. And here's my favourite torch guys, the PT31. Once again, it doesn't have a drag shield on it. You can't put a drag shield on it, and these also, they don't come in pilot arc. But all these tips are drag tips. You drag them along the work. Once again, it's just really basic. You have your tip here, you have your swirl ring there, you got your electrode here, goes in like so. There is no option other than to use it as a drag tip. Very simple guys, just a very simple version of an expensive torch, if you understand what I'm saying. So all these torches are drag tip torches. So guys, here's just a little illustration for you. See, this is a branded torch setup where you have your electrode, your swirl ring, your nozzle, your retaining cap and your shield here. This is what we're talking about. And here's just the cheap version of it, the one that I love, the PT31. You got your electrode, your swirl ring,
your short nozzle here, you can either have short or long, but it makes no difference, and your ceramic nozzle retaining cap here. So basically what this ceramic cap here is the same as this, your nozzle here is the same as this, your swirl ring is the same as this, and your electrode is the same as this, but we just don't have this. We just don't have the option. So if you want to drag it along your steel, whatever you're cutting, you just use these tips. It's just a standard torch setup.
Once again guys, we have an SG51 and it's just a standard drag tip torch. There is no option to put a shield on it or anything like that. You got your cutting tip there, you got your electrode that screws in here, and there you have a swirl ring. It's all pretty basic stuff. It's just designed to cut your steel in the easiest way possible with the least amount of moving parts as possible. Once you start getting into the more expensive torches, then you get all, like I said, you get all sorts of other options. So in the cheap plasma cutters that I use, guys, like I say, there's no option for all the other fancy bits and pieces. You get a cutting torch basically, and it cuts. And if you want a drag shield on it, well, you've already got it. You know what I mean? This is designed to drag along your steel. The tip lasts just as long, whether it's off the steel or on the steel. But yeah, you don't have the options of what you have on the expensive torches. That's what I'm trying to say. But once again, there's swings and roundabouts, because these consumables are normally a lot cheaper than what a branded name torch consumable is. So there you go. So that's my little rant on drag tips. There is these are all drag tips on these cheap Chinese torches. You drag them along your work, and then you cut, and then you're all done. So basically guys, so if you're looking for drag tips for these cheap Chinese torches, you've already got them. That's what you just use. The tips that come with it are just a standard drag tip. And if it's pilot arc or it's not pilot arc, it makes no difference. You can use it either way as a drag tip. Just because it's pilot arc doesn't mean to say that you can't drag it along the steel, because it'll work both ways. Anyway guys, this is my rant for the day. If you like my video, subscribe, drop me a like, drop me a comment, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Pete'sTools.com